All right. You're live, ladies and gentlemen. When last we saw our heroes, they had defeated, at long last, the final Elder Dragon, Kralkatorrik, freeing the world of Tyria from the threat that they posed, and allowing Aurene, the last scion of the prophetic dragon Glint, who herself was a scion of Kralkatorrik, to ascend to a new role as the Elder Dragon of Light and Magic. Her presence will be felt throughout Tyria in the years to come as she tries to right the wrongs of her predecessors. The Trollskull 6 returning to Amnoon and then to Lion's Arch are heralded as heroes once again. There are parades, there are feasts in every city. I imagine a whirlwind tour of dinners and hosted galas, celebrations where you are honored. And eventually, after some time, life settles down to a semblance of pre-dragon normalcy? Whatever that means for each of you. I would like, if you're prepared, for each of you to give us, you can give us a summary of a day or just do a scene 1 year from now. Tell us what your characters are up to or what they've done. Would anyone volunteer to go first?
I can volunteer
Please do.
as the tribute.
Jump on the nade.
Ooh. Well, gee. Kitri, as somewhat planned, uh got some land outside of the grove and created her own, used, I forget which spell, but used her own to create like Druid's Grove. I believe is the spell. Um she has moved there. She's built herself a little house using her woodworking skills. She's taken Biscuit with her, if she can, if she's given
Absolutely.
permission. Um,
Roll for custody.
I mean, if I need to versus Brina, I'd be willing to split custody of the dog, but
It's always
and
been yours.
literally co-opted this poor dog into our household. Um, a year from defeating all the elder dragons, Kitri spends her days gardening. She's got a big garden. She does a lot of woodworking. She keeps sort of an open door policy, obviously, for any members of the Trollskull 6. And I imagine she would have somehow managed to give each of them little carved mementos that somehow she would have managed to get like enchanted so that you guys could like transport via plants straight to her little druid grove if you ever need to. She's gonna have like a nice tree people to show up at, but she's also definitely, I guess, there as a resource and support for the grove itself. Wanting to support Cave and literally the rest of the Sylvari as much as she can. Um, yeah, she doesn't she's living her life simply and quietly and is just still trying to help people whichever way she can, but is definitely happy to take a back seat. I think that's probably about it. I mean, just imagine how cozy cottage core Kitri. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a key tree and a dog, and obviously any of you who want to visit.
For my part, I will add that being near the grove and being Cottagecore Keytree at 20th level, you are an arch druid. Keytree becomes a sort of not focal point, but a frequent site of not necessarily pilgrimage, but certainly a sort of rite of passage that new sprouts find their way to you as often as not, seeking wisdom and guidance about the wide world, about the nature of what it means to be Sylvari, and of course to listen to your stories. I have a question for Keytree. Does she pursue Bebin, or shit, I forgot his name already. The guy from Fireheart Rise. Does she go looking for love?
Does she go looking for love? I don't know. I always wanted to see where her and Cave would go a little bit, but we never got to explore that a lot. But also know Cave is like, I don't want to say damaged goods, but like big T trauma with her girlfriend being the Archduchess of the.
You know, hey, I
I
dig
can
it.
fix her.
No shit, she's a healer.
With Keytree being Keytree,
But
now like helping her process her grief and no longer necessarily needing to be on the
I feel like
bleeding
they would obviously start as like friends. You know, she's not going to come on really hard to Cade all of a sudden, but maybe it would start out as just being there and being like a support and helping her, like, because Keytree was there when they fought Mordramoth and everything happened. Just sort of being there to process all of that. But over time, I can actually, like, I know it's a little out of left field, but I can see that happening.
I dig it. I even see as this scene like you're telling the story of your adventures to a couple of sprouts, and as they get up to leave, you know, they give you a nice little bow, and as they turn to walk down the little stony lane out of your grove, there's a rustle in the brush, and Kate steps out kind of blushing a little bit because she's been listening. Yeah, super sweet. Who would like to go next? Come on, guys.
I can go, and if you guys are okay with it, I have a bit of a spiel. It's nothing crazy, and I literally just wrote it down 20 minutes before this, but I've been thinking on it. I think 1 year from now, specifically, Brina wakes up early and takes the Asura Gate home. I think in the months after the fall of Kralkatorrik, she helps take care of business, doing the hero stuff, giving statements, photo ops, cleaning shit up, as one is wont to do. She takes some much needed time off, exploring parts of Lion's Arch that she never really got to see. She visits Apple Nook and buys some fresh produce. She helps Tim run the bar, mostly contributing through additional decoration, though they're running out of wall space. And she spends time with the abbess doing a lot or nothing at all. But I think after Halvar pledges his service to Arene and is physically redeemed, she spends more and more time thinking of home. She knows that there's work to do, and she knows that it's time to do it. So I think 1 year from now, she wakes up and leaves a little note and decides it's time to go. She'll join Newt Whitebear and Erstogolkin in their work, traveling Tyria, serving as an emissary for Holbrack. She missed the exploring and traveling that came with adventuring. Over time, she stays in touch with the abbess, remaining friends and occasionally spending time with one another when they're in the same city. Spoiler alert, they don't end up together, but the abbess has always been married to her work. But they do remain close friends. And Brina writes, every few months you all receive a long-winded letter in the mail, similar to the letters she'd write her family when she first started adventuring. And she tells you all about what she's been up to. All of it, one would say, too much. She studies under air, learning how to read, not how to read, how to lead, how to represent her community with pride. She works closely with Halvar on whatever he does with Doreen, slowly rebuilding the relationship over time. When Air retires, I imagine she takes her place as leader of the Great Hunt, ending her adventure much the same as she began it. She spends a lot of time having family dinners with her father Eric, her mother Eileen, and her siblings Agen and Asta and Solvig and Ertha and Brinar and Tira. And finally, Halvar's place is back at the table. Brina Eriksson lives the life that all heroes deserve, but so few rarely receive. I imagine towards the end of her life, Brina settles down with a nice girl from Holbrack. She serves as a troop leader for whatever the Holbrack equivalent of the Scouts are, teaching lessons of the Great Spirits to the next generation of heroes, emphasizing the lessons specifically of Wolf. Brotherhood, loyalty, and the power of a small group of misfits trying their best in creating chaos. That's all.
I love it. That's beautiful. Thank you, Paige.
That was great.
I love my girl. I love my girl.
I find it incredibly both amusing and heartwarming to think of Brina the diplomat.
I know. I think it takes her a while to get the hang of it. Like, I think she's got the name recognition that they're like, oh, this will do well, and then she doesn't understand it.
It's like she gets like some pity points where they're like, you know, they're at the dinner and she's like making this point. They're just like, we'll do it if you just take it. Just it's okay. Well, it's fine.
It's the thing where like you clink the champagne glass with a knife, but it shatters the glass. It's like that.
Yeah. Yes.
I think once she starts working closer with Air, she's like, oh, okay, here's not how to stick your foot in your mouth in public. You know.
Does Brina travel greatly with just, you know, always a smut book in her back pocket?
Oh yeah.
You know, reading on long treks or wagon rides, whatever happened with the author that wrote the story.
Goldclaw.
That I think is her like in these diplomatic missions or whatever it entails, going from city to city, nation to nation, that is her like underlying motivation, is to complete her collection of Snargle's literature, great works. And you know, she knows how to read, as we've established, so maybe she can her repertoire. But yeah, I think she just like lives a peaceful life. I think she lets the next generation of ne'er-do-wells take over when it comes to the big scary threats of the world, but spends time where it matters most, back home. So I love my girl. I love my sweet Brina.
Love it. I'm making notes just in case.
Just in case.
All right. Wants to go next?
I could go next. So following a couple weeks of revelry, I guess, and kind of celebrating all of their accomplishments, I think Galatar kind of quietly says some goodbyes and goes back to Divinity's Reach to start spending most of his time there with his family again, and kind of retires from adventuring. I think he got to live his childhood dream and have that experience and really enjoyed that, but now he's ready for quieter days where things aren't constantly trying to kill him. And shortly after getting back to Divinity's Reach, I think he, on just one very kind of like crisp, chilly morning, goes on a walk with Elise and proposes to her. Really excited about the idea of finally being able to spend time with her, like he had promised her back before they fought the dragons. And I think he starts to work with Roland and Burkhardt at the bookshop more, occasionally going on quests for rarer books or things like that for the Derman Priory or for others, because he always is happy to learn more and find rare tomes. And I like to think that he talks Roland and Burkhardt into doing occasional like fire sales for books. But what he does is he creates like a Dimension Door stock room that has books. And so then for like the 1 hour that Dimension Door is open, you can come and get as many books as you can carry for a cheap price. And then they're gone. Just as like a fun way to stay involved. He at some point helps Tim buy a little piece of land where he can have his sheep and be a shepherd, since Tim put up with all of their bullshit for so long. And then I think about a year after the dragons have been slain, I think Galatar's probably on his wedding day with Elise and spending time with Roland and with Burkhardt and with his siblings who he rarely got to see, Lisette, Salome, and Braylon. And just spending time really appreciating the peace that everybody fought for, and just sort of getting to close that chapter in his adventure. And I think the last thing that he does is I think he writes a book in the same way that when he was a kid, books of magic and stories really inspired him. I think he writes Tale of the Trollskull 6 that's sort of like a children's book with fanciful pictures and things of dragons and stuff like that. And I think he prints off a bunch of copies and takes them to the orphanage that he was at when he was a little kid and just reads to them and spends a lot of time doing that kind of stuff too. But just has a nice, easy, peaceful life.
Dig it. Very cool. I think I got everything there. Who would like to go next? Kala?
Yep. 1 year later, Kala has moved back into Townsend Towers. She spends most of her time down in the docks district at a warehouse she bought and has converted to sort of an orphanage, sort of a school. She's training young adventurers. She started like a furore for the street children so that there aren't street children anymore in LA.
Okay, yeah.
She hires some other Flame Legion females to like cook and clean and take care of the kids and stuff. I think she probably occasionally does work for Zardoz when she's bored. And it may be a little more than a year later, I don't know, but I think Quippa disappears. It looks like a prison break, but you know, people who know what happened.
Broken neck.
She's just
It's
gone.
odd. It's a prison break, but all the debris is coming in from the outside. What?
No, you know Kala does a good enough job to make it look like it
Yeah.
came from the inside.
That's right. Quippa kills herself, but nobody.
I wanna
Those who know
see
know.
that meme.
Yes. Drop an image. I gotta find an image of Quippa, and we'll make it a meme.
The real things here.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
fantastic.
And she eventually takes a warband name, Dragon's End.
Dragon's End.
Yeah.
Is that a? Do I know that bit of lore? A warband name? You're not talking about like the singular, like the smoke warband or the.
No, you just, it's just like your second name as a char is the warband name.
Oh, like a title
There
for
isn't
herself.
really like, yeah.
Gotcha.
I just got the significance, yes.
Cool. Badass. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, like we've killed all the dragons, so I feel like I like that for Dragon's End. But then it's also Kolinar Townsend. So it like
Ah. Very cool. Yeah, periodically those who cut through Lion's Arch doing their business. Occasionally see Kala with a little troop of people of various ages, from like mid-teens to late single digits, I guess. Kind of trailing after her in the marketplace, watching. She buys things from merchants, points out weapon quality, and talks about the weight of your pack and how to pack efficiently if you're going to be on a long trip and things like that. Occasionally, those who pass by in an evening might see her walking along the docks, looking out at the sunset with Kolinar. I will say that Kolinar himself rather enjoys getting back to pure research, the more theoretical aspects of magic use. He does have a nearly endless amount of studying to do with the dwarven ruins found beneath the city. But he's also a very accomplished mage now who knows one of the most powerful mages in Tyria, and has built connections with the priory and things like that. So he certainly gives Kala a hand, but does a little research of his own. I like to think that Kolinar, at least for a time, spends like a summer in Garanhof at the Wizard's Tower, doing research with the Priory on the extra dimensional space of that portal and some of the other systems, kind of like helping Steward Gix and some of the other explorers like figure stuff out. Alexa too. Yeah. I get a feeling we'll dovetail into that here in a minute, or dovetail in. Excellent. So with that, Alexa, do you want to go next? Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, because Kolinar mentioned that before. I will. I got more than just a year to talk about, because more than that. But anyways, yes, at least we spend a year with them more. Probably, honestly, about 5 years or so exploring the mists, just like looking around, finding out where it is. Always returning to the bar. I mean, that's going to be Alexa's home probably for the most part. Just you gotta live somewhere else, kind of thing, and that's a good enough place since to be wandering in the mist for a while. But after a good 5 or so years, that will become boring, of just kind of looking at the same nothingness and only occasionally seeing something new with your own mind. And then just kind of go home and teach for a while, or share experiences and just show people how it is back in Radasum, and likely do that for at least a decade, until the 50s are coming on, and luckily now she knows, like, the itch has come back, and now she can go hit up college training school that's still around, whether or not on its own or secretly being funded through all of us, kind of thing. But I will go out adventuring with some newbies, and like relive the glory days, have a great time. I don't know if anyone's watching the anime Frieren, but kind of very much like that, like post the main adventure, you get to see the post adventure tale. And so sort of like that, just reliving with new adventurers, until one tragic day she has to like jump out in front of something and just fantastically blow herself up to save this young new guild. And you'll probably try and resurrect her, because that's what she always said was, always bring me back. But you'll find that her soul isn't free to come back. And so within like a week or so after that epic, downfall of one of the dragon killers coming to her glorious end, you will get ascending. It says, "It's better to die fantastically than fade into infamy." And this sort of cycle will repeat as I clone myself for eternity and just live for a while, have fun, see the world. I will always tell the Trollskull 6, and especially since Keytree's going to be living forever with me, basically, as an archdruid, someone's got to know the secret that the other one is still around, just kind of living eternally as the same thing. And, you may see me, you may not know it's the same me, but I'll always have like little eyes for earrings. And you'll be always be able to tell a little Assurin with those. But yeah, I plan to live for fucking ever. Just cloning myself and never dying, or dying gloriously, and but just sharing and spreading our knowledge and watching the world, and sometimes inserting a little chaos here. But yeah, I don't plan on my story ever ending.
Fantastic. I will say, as a brief addendum, so during the time when you are exploring the plains, part of that research naturally, because you've done it once before, would take place in Garenhof, where you accidentally slipped with Galatar into the Feywild.
Right, do we have to like get really tripped out again, or do we find some better way to do that?
With Kolinar there beside you, you are able to sort of make a thing of it and regularly reproduce the results. There was a trick to shifting between the realms, and it was more an instinctive one than something deliberate. It was a sharply focused need to escape where you were, to be someplace else, and slipping beneath the water during that. Somehow, Kolinar is eventually able, with the help of some of the Priory, to determine that it was kind of a combination of the nature of the space, sort of ley line hub that exists there, as well as a sort of cosmological, just the right time that the planes were kind of thin there. It won't always be that way, but he is able to kind of help you do that. And I will say, after a couple of weeks there studying it, word pretty well spreads around town, and everybody is aware that there is a planar gate here of some sort. People kind of start to keep their distance away from the hot tub at that particular establishment. It's sort of like cordoned off by the city guard. But during one of your expeditions, as you guys stand beside the pool and Kolinar begins to lay out the magical chalks to try to make the shift happen in an arcane, formulaic way, there is a set of soft footfalls and the faint tapping of a wooden cane, and a hunched little old woman taps her way into the patio. And as she sees what Kolinar is going about, he kind of looks up and continues muttering his incantation. She turns to you and says, well, that took a little longer than I thought. But I made it. I knew there'd be something I could use here. I could feel it. We've come quite a long way, you and your friends. How is your little Sylvari friend? She was so nice when I met you all.
She's doing quite well. I don't think we've met.
We haven't directly, dear. In my old age, I've forgotten some of the details. I'm Shayla. And she accompanies you into the Feywild and uses that gateway to attempt to reach her own home. She parts ways with you and says she'll be fine. But yeah, an enigmatic figure begins to make her way back to whence she came.
Fun.
Which I believe leaves only Bertie.
Wow. after after a solid week of partying on his return, lighting up the clubs, lighting up the casinos. Let's see. Bertie the Bard shacks up in his room for about 2 weeks and emerges with the Ballad of the Trollskull 6 and a plan to go on world tour.
A year-long world tour.
Well, this world tour starts. He's hitting to all the big cities, spends some time there, hits the casinos. Is well known for in the days leading up to a show, absolutely making a killing at these casinos, big or small, and then leaving town. On to the next place. To great acclaim, this tour is received. I think as those from far and wide wish to hear the ballad of the Trollskull 6. I think though, a couple months into that, I think Bertie turns up in Holbrack unexpectedly, unscheduled. Supposed to be playing a gig that night, but shows up in Holbrack and over a couple bottles of wine with Brina. They talk, and Bertie essentially lays out that he always thought he would burn bright and burn fast, and he thought that he had reached the top, and the top is not as full as he thought it would be. And after that, Bertie gets back on the road. Bertie the Bard's tour, world tour, canceled about halfway through. And I don't think you all hear too much from Bertie for the next 6 months or so, until you all receive in the post by carrier, with on very nicely printed paper, that opening in Lion's Arch, it is an invitation to Bertie the Bard's School for Artistically Inclined Street Children in Lion's Arch. Soon to be opening in Ebonhawk as well, to the ribbon cutting for this event. And Bertie the Bard himself, he uses his massive casino winnings from his 6 months on tour to fund these homes for street children. He himself does, occasionally comes into guest lecture. He lets more apt and educated and probably better off individuals actually run these establishments. But he remains a patron of the arts in Lion's Arch, and a burgeoning patron in Ebonhawk as well, as he tries to grow the art and theater scene there from bringing in outside acts. But for the last 6 months there at the ribbon cutting, for those who do come, you see Bertie arm in arm with Joban at the ribbon cutting there. And his style is somewhat more laid back. There's only a bedazzled blazer, but the pants are just silver silk. So and I think for the next year, that is where you find Bertie the Bard. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it, guys. So for notes of my own about some folks that I just kind of assume you guys would want to know about. Nienna and Galen, the two Sylvari members of Penumbra, the two surviving members of that unfortunate guild, they disappeared into the wild after you guys defeated some bandits just north of Ebonhawk, some White Mantle, I think. They go east. They explore some of the wildlands of the Blaze Ridge Mountains. They encounter some ogre tribes and some other pretty formidable folk, but they're both nimble and pretty stealthy. Eventually, they make their way east of those mountains, which is lands that humans have never visited. Legends tell that they were the original homelands of the Char, and they are gone for quite some time. Eventually, Kitri, you would encounter them because they do return to Caledon, bringing stories and new knowledge of the goings-on there. And they quickly become a kind of tourist destination of their own, not only for Sylvari, but for cartographers, for lore keepers, for naturalists, and people of all the different major cities who want to know more about that region. Even some of the Char, who never really had like a written record before they encountered humanity, come to them seeking better information about what was once their homeland. But the two of them live happily ever after. Kanak, or Zardoz Zord, does in fact expand the reach of the consortium to the markets of Amnoon. He continues to maintain the charade of Zardoz, the identity that he had assumed. When needed, it's not quite so prominent anymore, as most of the business done by the consortium, while often morally gray, is not overtly criminal. I do like to think that at some point he gets a little too big for his britches and tries to expand into the undead dominion of King Palawajoko. There are living Elonians in there who live under his rule, and he thinks, everybody wants to buy something, and there's all sorts of fabulous treasures in the lands of Elona. So eventually he tries to get in there. I imagine there is some conflict there. Ultimately, though, I would say his ultimate fate remains a mystery. On a much happier note, I will agree, I absolutely not add anything to the story of Tim, who retires to his sheep farm, bought for him by Galatar. It retires in happiness and lives a long, happy life into old age.
There is like one anonymous legal challenge to that purchase when it's made, but it goes like unanswered when they do. Yeah.
I will say that eventually, Captain Magnus the Bloody-Handed, the leader of the Lion Guard, as all must, eventually becomes an older Norn and decides to move back to Holbrack and kind of revisit the land of his roots, which means Ellen Keel is promoted to Captain of the Lion Guard. And in her place, as Inspector, she promotes Mortimer. You're all fucking muted. This is not fair.
That's so funny.
That's just
I said,
so
oh
horny.
my god.
Oh, yes!
Chandler was chanting Mortimer, Mortimer,
my
Mortimer.
gosh.
Oh, gee, guys.
Yes, Morty.
I can't tell you how much this means to me.
The
Always
real
wanted to be an
hero
Inspector.
of the campaign is Mortimer.
But we throw him a huge party.
Massive kegger at Trollskull Manor.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I'm
then
still
when-
living there. I'm taking care of the place.
Fuck
If the
yeah,
time
Morty.
ever eventually came, we'd also throw him a huge kegger for a retirement party.
We're gonna throw a
You
lot of
certainly
keggers.
could. Yeah.
The occasion calls for it.
Oh shoot. Oh. So I'm trying to think if there were any other major NPCs. I don't think so. Everyone else just kind of continues doing what they were doing. They have a pretty set path in life. Countess Anise continues being the head of the Shining Blade until she ultimately retires. Yeah. Don't think there were other NPCs necessarily that I needed to follow up on. Let me double check my notes.
What'd you say, Paige? You're
So excited about Mortimer. Sorry.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Morty.
that's so funny.
I believe. Oh shoot, I didn't see this in my notes. A few members of Excelsior were killed, I think, at the Battle of Claw Island. If I'm not mistaken, but several survived, and I will say at least Father Kevin of the Excelsior Guild
I remember he
ends
was
up
still alive.
ultimately becoming the High Priest of Dwayna at the Houses of Healing in Lion's Arch.
Hell yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. I remember when we fought them, and
And yeah.
just we were like, "Get that guy, get him."
The one in the dress, kid him.
Oh, in the arena. Yeah.
Yeah, in the arena, we were like, "Kill Kevin."
I'm gonna kill.
So
Kevin.
I think at this point,
Shit out of it.
a brief recap. I'm gonna go real quick just through some of the. I have mostly headings where the different sections of adventures were. Trollskull 6 began. Each of you had your own unique sort of session 0. Galatar became the hero of Shaymore as he defended it from a centaur shaman causing a massive rock storm. Brina, of course, the slayer of Isormir, mistress of the Great Hunt. Alexa and Cora were the Asurans who were in Sorendra, the city just outside of Radasum, on the ground, fighting a sort of golem malfunction uprising, and I believe took out an inquest who had caused it.
I kept forgetting that I wanted to scribe on her because I had the fucking whistle from her still. But
From who?
scry on Cora for shits and giggles.
I should have asked Chris. I should have had you come up with something for Cora.
I never
I didn't even think about it.
I
know
thought
what
about
she's
this
done?
forever ago. She goes back to Radasum and opens up a private security firm, mostly helping people get back into their labs when they've accidentally locked themselves out and they're too embarrassed to call the police. They call her to sneak in and deactivate the security system.
Get past all the traps
Yeah.
and shit. It's fucking dope. I love it.
That's funny.
Does
That
she
is good
eventually
stuff.
develop and sell her own safety whistles?
Maybe.
Dies in a drug bust gone wrong kind of thing.
Bertie the Bard defended the town of Smokestead, fighting faux fire ghosts and a possessed statue of Duke Baradin. Kitri, before she emerged from the dream, met Kaith to fight the shadow, unbeknownst to her, of Mordramoth, the shadow of the dragon. You then all met in Lion's Arch and were sent on your first job by Evan Nashblade of the
Just a
Black
quick
Lion Trading
just
Post.
quick journey, guys. It's a quick 4-hour
Yeah.
trip.
You went to a warehouse to do some investigative work. Made contact with some Lion Guard. Were awarded Trollskull Manor as a place to stay, provided you could fix it up, which you promptly did. You took a quest when you met Abbess Carlisle Fisher to gather some precious flower seeds from the Blackroot Bog. You then took
was
some odd
awful.
jobs. Yeah. Took some odd jobs around the area. The Ascalon settlement, putting some restless dead back in their place as a necromancer was creating a giant bone golem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you fought them alongside senior
Yeah, your lies
osteolog
started
Kenrick
there.
Malice.
Yeah. Wow.
You then met Joban for the first time when he was asking you to find his lost dog, which turned out to be a crazy shadow mastiff imported from another region, another
That
dimension.
stinker.
And And then that's when you first met Kolinar afterward, as you freed him from Quippa and her Asuran associates. Followed by your first fight in the arena. And shortly after, a trip into the mad realm of Mad King Thorn on Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Halloween up.
What followed after that is where things really kicked off. There was a sudden fireball in Trollskull Alley. You did a lot of investigative work, took you all over the city. You met all of your neighbors. Went to the theater, chased down players. Ultimately, you discovered a treasure map that took you to Sharkmaw Cavern underneath the refuse pit outside the city. Figured out some riddles.
Oh my god.
Found some lost treasure and a shitload of gold.
Wasn't that where Keytree like wandered off?
She was like, I'm gonna go and keep going, and then it turned
Yeah,
bad.
I'll go in the
By
pit.
a
Yeah,
pair
yeah,
of Otyugs. Yeah.
Oh my god.
After that, I believe you tracked down the Brine Flayers in the sewers. You found the Dwarven ruins underground and fought the Mind Flayer. There was a brief
What
interlude
happened to the
before-
dwarf man we saw?
The crazy one?
The guy who was like the cook in the kitchen, and he was like slowly turning to stone still, and he just and then he was
He-
like gone.
He ultimately fully became stone because it's just how the blessing of the Great Dwarf worked. But he was completely bonkers. I like to think that one day he just kind of disappeared and nobody knew where he went. And nobody went looking from him and nobody ever heard from him again.
The end.
That was followed by the World Summit as the Orders of Tyria and representatives of the 5 cities came together at the Crow's Nest, and you guys defeated a young black dragon, a minion of Zaitan that burst in, fighting alongside the members of Destiny's Edge. Then you all went to Ratasum, where you investigated the ruins of the Thalmanova reactor, and had your first kind of run-in with Director Kudu and some of his experiments. After that is where you first met old Shayla, and she offered Keytree a draw from the deck of many things. After that, you went to Divinity's Reach, and finally kind of drew a conclusion. I skipped over meeting Ozymandias in the ruins of the Sharkmaw Cavern. But yeah, you met Minister Zaemon, Ozymandias' father, did a little investigating there.
That was fucked.
That was a fun time.
And
too.
That was a fun session. I still, yeah.
Wild.
Crazy.
Let's start with a grenade. It'll be okay.
You all went to the Grove, and ultimately found a sunken ruin in a canyon in the hills to the west, where you encountered a Skrit.
Oh, the yellow card.
Yellow card.
Yellow card.
Many
Forget
times
his name.
in my mind,
Meatpack.
Meatpack.
I was gonna have
amazing.
Alexa
I'll
hire
never
me
forget
to
his
kill
name.
them.
Pack is in here.
Remember his name, Ryan.
Me pack
Never
forever,
forget
baby.
me pack.
Absolute G.
Let's see. From there was a bit of downtime, and then you went to Holbrook and traveled north into the Shiver Peaks to fight the Svanir at Svanir's Dome, where you met Halvar and realized how corrupted he'd become with draconic magic.
That fight was fucking epic too, though.
It
Oh
was.
yeah, because we went in. It was like the frost worm.
Yeah, we almost
Yeah,
died.
there was a frost
Yeah.
that you guys fucked with.
It
was
stunned like
amazing.
all of
Yeah.
us on turn 1, and we were
Stunned
fucked.
all y'all.
Well, that was
it
after the
like
fight.
Me and it was like me and Kala were like the only two, and we like I forget. I think it was Kala and I.
Yeah.
It was like we were like
I
fucking.
think that was the that might be the Critical Role Frostworm variant because it's got that sonic screech. Dope. Yeah.
I just remember having to dimension door Kala out of the inside of the worm
Yeah.
to the other room because we were about to die.
I meant more like the
Yeah.
epic part where Brina was talking with her brother and they were going back and forth.
It was a skill challenge in the fight to see if she could win him over. Yeah, and she did. She got through to him, and that changed his narrative. Otherwise, you guys would have killed him, and it would just been the end.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's so much more epic.
Glad it worked out that he didn't just get killed.
I
That's
was
a lie.
okay with either, but damn, I love a redemption arc. Can't help it. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I just because we're talking about that, I mentioned it once that I was going to use Wish for its non 8th level spell use one time, but that went away after you did Halvar's. My wish was going to be to remove Halvar's corruption, but that didn't need to do that.
Yeah. After redeeming Halvar, you went to the Black Citadel, where you descended into Ascalonian catacombs and fought a couple of Flame Legion ritualists, and put an end to the foe fire, which had plagued that region for hundreds of years. At that point, you were known commodities. You were becoming heroes of legendary standing. And so the Orders of Tyria approached you after the fall of Claw Island, taken by Zaitan's minions. They drafted you to help take it back, and you did, fighting an undead lich at the top of the highest tower, followed by an undead dragon afterward. 2-in-1 adventure. And you succeeded. You took a key island that allowed the Lion Guard to kind of take control of the sea again and prepare for the greater invasion of Or. From there you traveled to Ebonhawk, investigating leads about the White Mantle. You were investigating, I think, human separatists, people fighting against the Crown, which turned out to be manipulated by members of the White Mantle cult.
Isn't this where we had to sneak into the mansion during the party, and then we found the White Mantle stuff in the basement?
That
Or
was
is that later on?
Ozzy's
That was-
dad.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Minister Zamon's party.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, that was earlier.
Shitty dad.
Yeah.
Now, this was just after this. You followed the leads to the Queenswood, to a hunting lodge, and you infiltrated that.
Yeah, because
I
Roland
remember
got
that.
captured.
Yeah, discovering that Roland had been captured while he was trying to get
That's right.
information.
We were
And you
very
found a-
much running.
A teleportation circle that then led you to the
Yes, the
Stronghold of the
compound.
Faithful.
Yes,
To
And
Darth
that's
Sidious
where-
himself.
yeah. That's where Bertie said, "I know how we'll start this well,"
That's right.
and tossed a grenade in, and
Yep.
then began like the 5 hours of fighting.
Yes,
Yeah.
rather than go
Yes.
room by room stealthily, you got the attention of all 4 companies of soldiers, those sleeping and those not, and that was really interesting as a DM. I'm gonna share my screen
Yeah,
because
we
I
were
want
on
you
the
guys to
offensive.
see the schedule that I built, so that I knew who was sleeping.
Oh my god.
Oh my!
And the
Probably gonna fuck with
goddamn
the,
eye of Janthier that we never got to capture.
I was thinking about that.
It just
Ugh.
melted through the floor.
Still
like-
pissed.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my
That's
God.
funny.
Fucking
Ryan.
color coded.
Ryan,
I-
you're a good man.
I knew when they were sleeping.
That's
I knew when they
so
were
funny.
off duty doing like eat, bathe, and relax. I knew when they were patrolling, and when they were
Oh,
doing their penitence and study, because there were specific rooms in each of the places for that.
Yeah.
oh my
And
God!
fucking
will-
Birdie was like, it doesn't matter.
I said,
Right,
"Yeet!"
Bernie said,
Wake 'em all up.
Yeah, light them up, light them up, kids.
Hope you don't care about this schedule anymore, Ryan.
Went real
Well,
hard on the
it
offense.
still helped
Yeah.
because
Some
if
of them
you'll
weren't
recall,
armed. Yeah.
many
yeah,
of them
some
came
of them
out
had to
without
get
armor.
doffed.
Because
Yeah.
by
Dog.
rules, it takes like 10 minutes to put on heavy armor.
Which, thank God, because we would have been fucked if they had been armed.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
welcome. So really, I did us a favor.
It's a wild.
Oh, and we
Melted
picked up
so
we
many
picked up
faces.
Grimace there too.
Jade
Oh,
construct.
R.I.P.
Did.
Grimace.
That's right.
Ah, You're
Died saving Aureen. What a hero.
And we almost TPK'd at that
Yes.
stronghold.
Oh yeah.
I remember there was like a fateful, like
It was
I got to
TPK.
Kala with like a healing word or something,
nice.
which was
Yeah,
like
because
the
Oh,
break
yeah.
point.
3 or 4 of us
Yeah.
were trapped in that watery sphere and couldn't escape
Yeah.
because it was a strength
Yeah.
save
And
and
Kala,
Brina was
like,
down.
I think
Ah.
Kala was about to go down or like did go down or something.
Yeah.
That
Oh, it
was
was brutal.
that was one of my favorite fights because
That's good.
the confessor, the legate minister Caudicus,
Mm-hmm.
was
That bastard.
he was Emperor Palpatine,
Right.
Yeah.
and so the watery sphere spell is just like 4 of you being force choked, but you got Kala up when she needed to, and that moment where Brina had like 3 hits and she kept coming back up with her barbarian.
Oh yes.
That's
yes.
what it was. The barbarian.
That was so
That
good.
Yeah.
It.
That was so cool. Yeah. Oh
You
shit.
rescued, not Burkhart, the other one.
Roland.
Roland.
And got a lightsaber temporarily.
Did. Until you got a better one.
Yeah. Blood crystal, where I gave my blood every long rest in order to have more power.
So yeah, you toppled
Shit.
the White Mantle, this conspiracy within the government of Divinity's Reach. At that point was the first time you began to notice children playing in the streets of Lion's Arch pretending to be members of the Trollskull 6.
Oh yeah.
From there you journeyed to the Steam Spur Mountains, where you found the Crucible of Eternity, the hidden laboratory fortress of the Inquest. Mary's face is
Isn't
everything.
that where who got like wasn't it Alexa got like teleported outside of
Oh.
Into the astral plane, yes. The
yes.
inner
Oh my
sanctum
God,
of
and we were
Director
like,
Kudu.
oh
An
my
extra
God.
dimensional inverted pyramid triangle. Yeah.
And this is where we also learned the value of heat metal.
And motivational work posters.
Oh, that's right. And the bar.
Hang in there.
From there, you ventured to Hulbreck to help Erstagulkin do a diplomatic favor for the Coden who lived at Song of Final Exile. You retook the Honor of the Waves, their iceberg citadel, encountering for the first time the voice of the Elder Dragon, Jormag, in his servant Drakkar.
Just trying to think of what stupid thing. What did we give him some nickname or something?
Drakkar?
No, our guy that we were taking back to the island. We didn't. We called him something.
Silent Snowfall?
The walk
Ice
slowly
raking.
guy. What was the name of the first guy we met? Wasn't it like walk slowly or something?
Snowfall and ice raking.
So yeah, Silent Snowfall and Ice Raking were the 2 that were competing to be the
Yeah.
I guess I'm just.
Then we met a guy when
Ice
we were
Raker.
camping that just walked like super slowly and had he was fun.
That was like a lot earlier.
Oh,
Mm.
was that when you went
That
to
was
see
we
the
were-
Sons of Svanir?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That guy's name.
He was way earlier.
Twin Spur Haven. Skill challenge. The Frusenfels, I think, was where you encountered him. What was his name? Here we go. Walking Slowly was his name.
Yeah.
It was a lone Coden.
That's all I remember about him was that he
It
moved
was his
slowly.
name.
I mean, you
Yeah.
got it right.
I mean,
right on.
and it's what he did. It was an apt name.
So I have notes here at the bottom. This is the tier 3 content, levels 10 to 15. I have a note for Black Citadel, but I don't think we went to Black Citadel here. because none of the notes I have happened. And I've been looking for these notes for months to set up for when we did go there, and I forgot where they were. And now I know. Okay, though. Yeah, I had like a whole speech for a shaman. That's what happens when you prep too hard, kids.
Eh. A lesson in procrastination.
At this point, you moved into level 15, the highest tier of play, and you began with the assault on Or. You took the fight to Zaitan. Defeated the dragon in a cavern beneath the city of Ara, the city of the gods. In the aftermath of that, needing a peaceful, restful respite, you went to Garenhof.
And we
where you
tripped
met,
balls is what we fucking did.
You did. You did some drugs. You slipped it. You did so much drugs. You slipped into the Feywild. by
Met a
accident.
mother and daughter that hated each other.
Hey, there was tension. There was
Just hated each other
tension.
so much, right? They
Yeah.
hated
They're
each other's
off.
guts.
a bit of tension.
True hatred.
She said, I hate you so much, go live with this vampire.
I'd rather live with a vampire than live with you.
Fuck your delicious
wizard
baked goods.
Is Garden. Yes,
Oh,
the
man.
vampire
Oh,
necromancer who was corrupted by the hand of Varata.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about the fact we found his journal.
We cut his hand off.
Mm-hmm.
Got
Fuck
that
that guy.
wrapped up in the Priory special collections under good protection.
Talk about a monkey paw.
Followed by the Dragon Bash Festival.
Yeah! Smash the dragon! Smash the dragon!
I forgot about that song. That song
I
was so
remember this
fun.
song.
I almost played it when we started tonight.
Oh, that would have been good.
You should have.
Maybe we'll do that on the outro.
That's a
Okay.
core memory
I
now
love it.
for me.
That sounds good.
After the Dragon Bash Festival, when everyone had time to rest and recoup, you guys took the fight to Mordremoth next, crossing the desert of the Silver Wastes, eventually making it into the Maguma jungle, where you encountered the Itzel frog people, saved them from a green worm. You stumbled into the golden city of Tyria, where you discovered the Exalted Guardians protecting the legacy of Glint. You defended the sacred city before taking the fight to Mordremoth himself, destroying him in his massive, rotted tree trunk lair.
After watching all of them pop out of the trees like zits.
You were then called, with almost no opportunity to rest, in an emergency to Holbreck as the Elder Dragon Jormag sensed the fall of yet another sibling and decided he could wait no longer and must assault the Norn while opportunity presented itself. Unfortunately for him, the Trollskull 6 were there. Put an end to those plans.
Well, he also put an end to two of us temporarily.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
a
a
tough
really
fight.
It was
That was a
tough.
good fight.
That was so good.
You then took a brief side trip to the Priory Special Collections to get some information and ask some questions of Ogden Stonehealer, the last surface-dwelling dwarf. You put some dangerous items in storage, including the Hand of Varata. From there, you traveled to the Black Citadel. That was a long gap. I think that was the like 2-month gap or something we had. Because then we went to the Black Citadel, across Fireheart Rise, to attack Geheron Balefire. Unbeknownst to you, was trying to ascend to divinity by draining the magic out of Primordus.
And
What?
became gods of yet another group of people.
The Wup Wup tribe of Grawl do certainly revere the members of the Trollskull 6.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you did. You overthrew the leadership of the Flame Legion. Its most powerful shaman now lie under a bed of rubble. and you began a movement for those people to free themselves from their ritualist's yoke. From the Cathedral of Flame, you took a brief bit of rest and then made your way to the free city of Amnoon, and ultimately, after a brief stopover to humiliate and rob blind the purveyor of the Grand Sahil Casino,
Yeah.
have finally ended the threat of Kralkatorrik as well.
Rich as fuck.
Rich as fuck. What a game, you guys. This is so
Insane.
much content.
Yeah.
3.5 years.
Oh.
I do
Yeah.
want to take this opportunity, since I'm writing little notes. I want to talk about a couple of things that you don't know.
Yes.
Ooh.
One little thing means absolutely nothing. It just tickled me. In the Grawl Cave in Fireheart Rise, there were 3 paths. There was one that led to the treasure you took. There was the one on the right that led to the actual Char doing the ritual that you defeated. And there was a little tiny one in the center that led up to a little pool of lava with not much there. And nobody went up and looked around it. And there was nothing crazy there, but there were these little elemental spirits called Chewinga. They're just like little elemental spirits. They're perfectly black, little like 6-inch tall, almost like fairies. They're like shadow people, but they wear like little tribal masks and like little grass skirts. And if you had been nice to them and kind of, because they don't speak your language, but if you had convinced them that you meant no harm or that you were there to help, they would have given you like a little blessing to use.
Uh,
Yeah.
Love
That
little
wouldn't have
guys.
happened.
Neat little
We would have
thing.
been
Yeah.
dead.
yeah, we would have grenade.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
serious?
Ew, ew, ew! Get away from me! Ew, ew, ew!
Brady says, ew, bugs.
Ew, bugs.
They're fireflies, but
Oh,
without the
there's
fire
the
part.
roaches everywhere.
Some things that
shit.
you just never really came to mean anything. There was a bar in the Windward Anchorage, the kind of rough part of Lion's Arch, called the Maid of Fortune. It was kept by the proprietor Ben Silvertongue, who was a kind of yar matey sort of sea salt. There was a bard that played there fairly often named Davos, who was one of the soothsayers who worked for Zardoz. If you had spent a lot of time around there, that might have been a different avenue for you to connect with Zardoz's sword eventually.
Oh, okay. I do remember Davos. The name.
Yeah, I think you met them once. They were in the hideout with Zardoz at one point.
Yeah.
There were several named pirate ships with crews kind of fleshed out in case you guys had ended up going in a piratey sort of way early on.
Always a possibility in a D&D.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Oh, we should have done that.
We had the fucking fold-out boat, and I
I
tried
even
so
have a-
hard to get
I
you
even
to use it.
Got proficiency in boating so we could do stuff like that.
Yeah, didn't you?
Man.
At some point, the plot just
Stop.
kind of took over.
Yeah, you gotta kill
Right.
dragons. You can't be on the ocean.
There were a couple of twists for early game. One of the captains was a werewolf, and that was going to be interesting if you ended up not knowing they were pirates, but maybe thought they were smugglers, and they took you out on a quest to get something. You know, they would have turned on you on the way home and tried to take whatever it is you got. Would have been an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah.
More importantly, there was a pirate ship called the Morning Star, Mourning, and there was a pair of sisters, the captain and the first mate. The captain, One-Eyed Whitley, had a special eye patch, and there were small hints dropped, very, very small, from Garenhoff, and I think one or two other places where things like that were mentioned, talking about the hand of Verata being a pair with the eye of Verata, and One-Eyed Whitley wears the eye under her eye patch.
Oh.
So this is a crazy legendary object. I forget what spell it is that lets you cast it. I don't think it's Blight. I think it's Finger of Death. So it's like
Holy
it's like
fuck.
an 8th level spell.
I'm gonna finger you from my eyeball.
Oh no,
God.
sorry, it's Disintegrate.
Yeah.
So that
You're
she can
Cyclops.
cast Disintegrate from it 2 times.
Damn.
In addition to some other stuff, but for low level play, like she just
Oh.
had kind of regular stats like CR5 or something. But she had the Eye of Verata, and if you had fucked
Yeah.
around with her, she would have disintegrated somebody before you got to
Oh.
her, I imagine.
Yeah.
And that would have been like a big reveal of like, oh, well, here's this crazy legendary treasure, and that
Yeah.
may have led you more towards Garanhoff at a different point. We don't know.
Yeah.
Or if somebody had really wanted to go chaotic evil, they could have put on the hand and the eye and risked being taken over and possessed by the spirit of Verata.
Damn.
I think my favorite Easter egg, though, and Alex reminded me of this the other day, so those of you in the first campaign will never forget the Rakshasa who revealed himself at an opportune moment to hassle you all midair.
Fucking
Yeah.
Faznar.
Yeah. Fucking
Faznar
Faz.
Painmaker. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Vincent Trench, the private investigator next door to the Trollskull Inn and Tavern, who never shook hands and very rarely took things offered to him, is a Rakshasa in
I
disguise.
fucking think I remember that from the bar scene a
What?
couple times.
Yeah, someone would say like I hand him something, and I would say, well, he declines politely, and he doesn't shake people's hands. Like people say, oh, I go
Yeah.
up and shake his hand. He wouldn't. He is a Rakshasa in disguise, and that is not necessarily from me. I can't take credit for that. That is from the Waterdeep module that we were running early game. I think it's that same character is a Rakshasa who was in town for whatever reason, long time ago, and it just kind of grew on him. It's like a weird, shady ass place, and like you don't get in trouble when you hurt bad guys.
That's
And he's
wild.
like magical and shit, so he's really good at investigating. So he's just living his best life.
Oh my god.
Huh. That is kind of cool.
That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So yeah, it's like
I
doing
never
good.
knew if one of you all was gonna like pop see invisibility or true sight or something at the precisely wrong moment, and I'd have to be like, oh shit, here we go.
And by the way,
Whoa.
Uh,
Dang.
sitting on that a long time.
Who is?
That-
I've got to
that's
ask.
Big
Who
Jim.
was the? Oh yeah, Big Jim. I saw that one coming. I forget like
You
where
did,
my
too.
spidey senses started tingling, but it was like you're describing this like new, came out of nowhere guy who like started rising up in the ranks, like a million miles away, and I was like, I wonder. I was like, my spidey senses were tingling. I was like, I have a feeling. Birdie knew. Who was the smut author that we were like?
Snuggle Goldclaw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
no.
we
So
find
it's
him?
a character from Guild Wars 2. His name is Snargle Goldclaw. He's a char.
Where
At-
where is like?
Where is
could
he?
we
He
have
travels
found him?
around. He
Oh,
travels
okay.
around. Yeah,
Okay.
he is definitely not a legionnaire. He does not care for the Black Citadel and all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
soot
yeah.
and the grease and the noise. He is
Oh.
very much the char mirror to Bertie the Bard.
Yeah.
But
I was
instead of
trying to-
music, it's literature.
Yeah. Would have loved to meet him.
I think there
Yeah.
are like 12 books that he wrote in game. A lot of them don't make sense though if you've never played the game because it's just like too obscure lore.
No.
But yeah,
I think it's
they're
important
all
that
hilarious.
he exists as a character. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
You can target him.
No.
It's good world building when there's a smut author that everyone loves. It's important.
Honestly, like they introduced the character in the game at some point, and there's a collection achievement for going and finding all of his works around the world. But it's like in the later stages of the game and some of the expansions, you can just be like walking around town and some random ass NPC will talk about him. They'll be like,
Oh my god.
"Have you read A Kralkatoric Affair?" No, I haven't been able to find a copy. It's fucking insane random bullshit. This
That's
wonky character.
wild.
I love it.
Wow.
Chris had a question about the black spider. So in the Waterdeep module, there's a character called the Black Viper, and it's basically a jaded noble's daughter who hates the nobility and all the excess and the corruption, and just decides, like, fuck it, I'm gonna go make a difference. So she beats up criminals like Batman. And instead of Viper, I went with Spider because I could have her like have a Magitech web shooter, and that was just fucking cool. I
Yeah.
just prefer that.
Yeah,
But
that's
it was
cool.
the purple-eyed daughter of the Greystones, Thomasine Greystone.
Mm.
I think you guys clocked that at the Zaemon party, or at least
It
I
was a
think
long
Chris
time
did.
ago.
She asked
I
about it.
thought so, but it was like never confirmed.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
never really confirmed it in game, but she was the daughter of Castellan Greystone. She was always rebellious. She knew her father specifically had ties to criminal enterprises, but she didn't know all the details. She actively rebelled against White Mantle doctrine, and so they sent her away to Eldvin Monastery. And the monks there taught her discipline, self-defense, and when she came of age, she returned to Lion's Arch and turned into Batman, or Batman Spider-Man.
For her.
She was gonna potentially be something like more impactful, but very quickly became much lower in level and strength than any of you, so it just kind of faded. There was really not a lot of need to have that once you guys took down the White Mantle, so I like to think she lives in comfortable retirement, but always keeps a weather eye out for the seeds of corruption in the city. Oh, I actually have a note that she took Captain Wayant's treasure map from the Brine Flayers in order to find out what it was. She was investigating the old windmill that you guys found at some point, when there was some kind of like frantic messenger came to warn the Char that you fought there. And when she saw that guy being warned, and then in response he sent some late night shipment somewhere, she followed the shipment, and that's how she ended up where you guys bumped into her later. Like it was all fucking written out. It was crazy. Ozymandias, Zardoz, Mortimer.
That was wild. Ozymandias was a
Still one of my favorite
crazy
campaigns.
NPC. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let's
'Cause
just
I
have a little
remember-
quick, short, intermission.
Rip in peace, like, one of the greats, Ozymandias. Because I remember I came to you, Ryan, and we were chatting one day, and I was like, I feel like Birdie needs a good rival.
Yep.
Somebody in town, and
Just a rival.
yeah, just a rival. But then, like, I forget what he did, but I was just like, no. At this point, I was like, Birdie the Bard doesn't, no
Escalate.
half measures, just
it was
escalate.
like-
He only
All he did was
escalated.
take 5 gold.
Yeah, he
Yes,
cheated
He
you out
took
of 5
5
gold.
gold
Yeah,
in a row.
he cheated me out of 5
And
gold.
you ruined this man.
But tit for tat, like from 5 gold to like mind flayer brained, like fucking.
Pasted pictures on the
He took
wall.
5 gold.
Slash
Pictures
the
on the
world's
wall.
most awkward love
500
story.
the next session.
Oh god, yeah.
Isn't that what you got arrested
whole...
for?
Not tit for tat. It was like tit for nuclear bomb.
Yes. But the way you like came back at it and like kept, oh man, it was so
Yeah.
good.
Well, that was the thing, is I wasn't sure as a DM how to do like an ongoing rival for something that's kind of more an RP thing. It didn't
Yeah.
occur to me just like during downtime have you do like a couple of die rolls just to see if you outperform it. Like that's
Yeah.
how I would do it now. Like I have systems for this now. And so I thought, all right, well, he'll just kind of like get under his skin a little bit, do a little intimidation, kind of like a haha gotcha. He'll take his earnings one night and say like, oh, I'll give it to the bard, and then he'll just disappear.
Yeah.
And then like you stepped out at 30 seconds, I introduced this character. You step out of there and like, I am gonna burn this motherfucker to the ground. I want to go buy posters and paint, and I'm gonna do a smear campaign. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Okay. And by the time we got around to the next
1
session,
to
on.
400.
you were like,
Yeah.
all right, well, and this is a treat for anyone who comes in like 10 years from now and listens to all this bullshit that we've put online, because this was before we started recording.
Oh yeah.
You showed up at the Crow's Nest Tavern to one of his shows, and we're gonna like break into his room and just like deface it or something. And I kept thinking like, all right, so why did this guy pick Birdie to pick on? Because there are other bards. He's probably just because he's popular. Like, what if he's like kind of got a crush on him, but it's that weird, like, possessive, dysfunctional.
Right.
And I just went straight to like Silence of the Lambs. I was just like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is weird. It's just like, it's not just like I want him. It's like I want to be him.
Like
Like I want to wear his face.
Right, I'm gonna wear
Yeah.
his skin. Oh my
It
god.
escalated
As
so
soon as that
quickly.
thought hit my head, I was like, if I have this guy go full on, the thought that came to me was Ace Ventura, the first movie, when he goes into Ray Finkel's bedroom. Like the laces were out, die Dan, die, is like all the paraphernalia. I was like, man, if he walks in and sees this shit, Alex is gonna flip out, and I want to be there for that. So I did
It was so good because I think I wanted to like put like posters in his room or something of like Murder the Bard
you
or
were
whatever.
just gonna like put your own shit in there.
I was you like, oh, we're
I'm
gonna sticky
top-
note him kind of thing, you know, like, oh, we're gonna sticky note his car, and I walk in.
But honestly, the best reactions were like Chandler and Jimmy. They were completely losing their shit. Like, what is going on?
It was
I
so
didn't
good. It
expect
was
that.
such a turn because
It
I
was
took it
so
to the
funny.
nuclear bomb, and you were like, "We can go more. We
Yeah,
can go
we can
higher."
go
Like,
further.
Why
you
stop
want
there?
to escalate? Here
Yes,
we go.
let's escalate. It was so funny.
Oh, God,
And
that was
from,
a
from
good
there, we
night.
dialed it back a little bit. Like he was a little nuts, but
Oh,
it
but
was,
it was great.
easy
He
to
would
have
just
him
show up.
and be like,
Yeah.
he's got wealth, he has power, he's got connections, so he can show
Yeah.
up anytime with a couple of magic items,
Yeah.
thinking he's hot shit.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And then he got
Mm.
mind flayed.
So fucking
Yeah.
It was fun.
bad.
Mind flayed, because he was in prison with a guy named Tim,
Yep.
not the bartender.
Oh,
That I
that's
tried
right.
to teach to read.
Right?
Yes.
But wasn't he already mind
Oh,
flayed by
He was
then?
already mind flared.
I don't think he was by then.
Oh, not at that point?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I thought he was.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Because
my
it was
bad.
it was an intellect devourer.
Oh, yeah.
They sent one up to take control, and he was the weak one. So it
Well, I feel so much
possessed
more
him.
prepared for that plotline now that I've played Baldur's Gate 3. If I could go back in time, I'd feel a lot more prepared for that whole story.
I need to
No.
play that game because I hear
Oh,
it's great.
so good.
I'm like, no spoilers. I'm like halfway through ish, probably a little more. It's great.
Oh my god. The replayability on that game. Whew.
Yeah.
10 out, like 12 out of 10 on you guys must go play this game because
Yeah.
I gotta
do
upgrade
it.
my PC if I'm gonna play that game.
Do
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, that was fun.
That's great. Oh.
That was a cool one.
I remember the funny name that I was hung up on. I told Jimmy.
The funny name.
Oh, you have to say it now.
What is it?
Ritlock Brimstone.
Ritlock Brimstone.
What did we say?
Oh no.
I called him
Shitlock.
Shitlock Brimstone.
Shitlock rings. I was like, when did we put him on blast? What was
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah, dude, he and Logan end up together. Can we just does their romance work out or not?
Only
my
in
God.
Star Wars lore.
You really, if you get a chance, I think the base game is free. Like, use an instant level 80 token and try to find a group of 3 or 4 people who are going into shit, which dungeon is that? Is that the Cathedral of Flame dungeon? Yes, because it's where they fight Gaheron. So the way the dungeons go in the game, they progress, like you do one at certain levels for the story, and each one has 2 members of Destiny's Edge who were feuding, getting back together. And if there's a book, shit, I don't remember what it is. There's a Guild Wars 2 book that talks about them breaking up. Like, it talks about the formation. I think it's called The Edge of Destiny, actually, where the
Edge of
guild
Destiny.
The edging of
forms.
destiny.
They actually become Destiny's Edge in the arena in Lion's Arch. They come together as a fighting team. But then the book details how they fight. They lose the fight against Kralkatorrik because Logan bails to go protect Queen Jenna because he swore an oath to do so. It's this crazy thing. And in the Citadel of Flame, Cathedral of Flame dungeon, they literally have like a bromance moment where I think Ritlock is on a bridge and it starts to collapse and Logan catches him. And they've been talking the whole time, like this weird catharsis, and then he catches him, and there's screenshots of it everywhere. It pulls him back up, and from then on, like, they're cool.
They ship it.
Yeah,
Aw.
it's
That's
like
true
a
love,
legit
man.
thing. They are like
That's beautiful.
brothers in arms. My favorite interaction with Ritlock, I'm never gonna be able to find the quote quickly. There is a scene in the expansion, The Heart of Thorns, where you go fight Mordramoth in the Maguma jungle, where a little tiny Asura girl named Taimi is she's on comms, like talking to people, she's getting readings on, she's doing sciencey shit, and Ritlock is like being grouchy because it's his thing, and the interaction between them is just chef's kiss. She calls him like Tribune Fussy Pants or something like that. Like, Mary, you would absolutely love it. You could probably just find the audio of the scene somewhere. If I find a link, I'll send it to you because it's one of my favorite like voice acted audio conversations. Just to listen to them kind of bicker back and forth. Absolutely love that. Ritlock Brimstone. I remember you guys getting really tickled at that for
We
one
said
session.
Shitlock, and I was like, "That's hilarious. That's the funniest joke I've ever heard." Shitlock Rimstone. Sorry.
I mean, it got me bad.
Still have me over cackling.
I'm still gonna say it to myself every once in a while and lose it.
I remember one that got me. I was trying to think of times that got me. It was when Brina and Birdie went to the casino, and Brina ended up getting in debt. It was like she like owed money at the end of it.
Maybe.
I was like, wait a second, you walked in with 100 gold pieces. How are you now owing like 200 gold pieces?
Yep.
Rim just bought everybody's drinks or something.
Great.
I had that scene. I had a shortcut to that timestamp on that video on a sticky note on my office computer for a long time.
I need to go back through, and that's probably what I'll do. is-
Do you
is
remember
start
what
time
episode
stamping
that
them.
was? Or like
It was the one with the sexy party.
Yeah,
Sexy
I
party
gotta
what?
find. I gotta see what that. Find that episode.
Oh, the
That's
sexy
hysterical.
party. I recall. that.
Yeah,
Right, the one you didn't go to.
yeah. You were in debt and getting.
You got invited to go though.
Yeah, that's
Not
right. That's
scams.
right.
There was something else in that episode too. There was another moment because I had 2 timestamps saved.
This game is so fucking weird.
It really is.
So funny.
Honestly, some of my favorite moments though were every time I could make Paige blush.
Oh my god.
It started
That's
so
easy to
Not
early.
difficult to do.
Me too. I remember playing like when I was dog sitting at like my family friend's house, just at their kitchen table and being like, "Oh goodness!" like, "Oh goodness!" Oh.
The belt on.
The belt on.
Oh, it's very good.
How does one of our episodes have 21 views?
Because we've watched it a lot.
Right.
That's probably the one. If it's the highest one of views, it's probably that one. Because we go back
So
and
it's
watch like, a
fighting
specific
fighting
clip.
through the foundry.
Mercer, eat your heart out.
Foundry?
You're right. I was like, that doesn't sound
I
familiar.
know. Fighting through the foundry has 21 views. I haven't looked at let me look at all of the uploads.
That's like the Cathedral of Flame, right?
Oh, Shore Leave, 30 views.
Oh, there we go.
That's gotta be it. Shore Leave.
21 views. That's crazy. Oh, wait,
I know.
is that the one that You went back and timestamp Jimmy?
I do not know,
Because that may be it.
but maybe.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's one episode where Jimmy went through full on Critical Role and put like timestamps for everything that happened.
Jimmy!
Oh
I will
my
do that for
gosh.
sure though on the earlier ones. Now that we're done, and
That's so fucking cool.
it's just I need days of downtime at work.
Oh,
wish
I
that
envy
were-
you.
Well, I've been busy. I'm getting ready to go to Fairmont on Wednesday.
Wow, why in the hell does that have 21 views? That's just weird.
I'm telling you guys, this is how it starts. No marketing, no plugging, no advertisers. You just upload 4-hour videos to YouTube. Don't tag anybody in it. Add a snazzy title, and then you're
Let
good.
the AI do its thing.
Let the AI, those who need to know, the algorithm will deliver it to their doors. Darling.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look back through. It's one of the older ones though. It's been a minute. It'll be one that says something like a little break or downtime or something like that.
Hmm. Festivities and farces, maybe?
That might be the one. That actually kind of sounds like it.
Oh yeah, I can see. I'm crying in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. We had some moments, man.
Oh my god,
I've
that's so good.
1, 2, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 miscellaneous quests that I never put in at various levels. I had like a little micro section of Centaur stuff for Galatar, or for everybody in Divinity's Reach. It just never really fleshed out in anything major. I always try to come up with fun names for them though. Like there's a district in Divinity's Reach where the Canthan refugees go. Cantha is like Tyria in Asia, and so they call it Little Cantha, and so I had a quest there called Big Trouble in Little Cantha.
That's so good.
It was some kind of Shunlai banking guild thing. It might have been a heist.
That's why you can't trust the bank.
It's true.
I never opened a bank account this entire time.
Honestly, good call.
But the reward for that was going to be there's a spell. It's like somebody's hidden chest, and it lets you store things in a chest that gets stored in like the ethereal realm or something like that. I think this was a modified one, but they were going to teach you guys the spell to like have your own little storage chest.
Then we just got Demi planes.
Yep.
Yeah. Whew. Man, so much prep.
No,
A lot
truly
of the
good
notes for Lion's Arch just came from the Tomb of Annihilation module. I used Port Nyanzaru for the map and most of the places in it. Yeah.
You did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seriously.
A lot
well
of great
done.
like detail and background stuff going on. Like I felt like a living world. It was really cool.
Absolutely.
I
This was
appreciate that.
phenomenal.
Thank you so much, Ryan. This really
Thank you
truly.
all. This is, I mean, I think for all of us, this was necessary, especially since COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have occupied my time elsewise. And this was not just killing time. This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I highly recommend, if any of you want to run like a deep, long campaign, pick a game world or something that you are intimately familiar with, preferably one that has a wiki with dialogue and branching quests, and just like use everything. Just copy, paste, and plagiarize, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And like a bunch of this, like I said, was a mixture of the Tomb of Annihilation, Port Nyanzaru City, but
Mhm.
the levels 1 through 5 was the Waterdeep Dragon Heist module, adapted to Tyria, which was not at all hard. everything from like 5th level onward was different branching options of the personal story for each of the races from the game. And a lot of it was kind of like adapted for D&D, but I mean, as far as like the meat of where things are, who people are, what their motivations are, all laid out. A shitload of dialogue is on the Guild Wars 2 wiki. People are like really anal about writing down every word they say. That is so nice.
Yeah.
Were there any other unresolved questions that anybody had?
Was there any? So I know Keytree got an old Sheila visit early on.
Yeah.
Was there any like point you thought about like dropping it back in, or like if
Old
they
Sheila
go
specifically?
here? Yeah, or like was there like a set like, oh, if they go to this place, that's where old Sheila is?
There was not a set place. For old Sheila, for those who don't know or don't recall, old Sheila was a hag from Eldathar, from our first home game that I ever ran when I was learning how to DM.
I've heard much about old Sheila.
I enjoyed
Yeah,
old Sheila.
Old
and
Sheila
she-
then went cross campaign to when I was running Barovia. Yeah, for
Well,
a couple people.
And she like when I built her, she was already kind of a planar traveler. I didn't want my ridiculously overpowered players to be able to just nuke her.
Yeah.
So she was strong, but also like she could just phase, plane shift into the Shadowfell or the Feywild or wherever she needed to go from Eldathar. But she had the deck of many things. With this campaign specifically, I thought it made sense because the Thama Nova reactor tore a hole in reality and it pulled things in from other dimensions. That's why there was a Tyrannosaurus there for no reason.
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense that a planar entity would have like more closeness to that somehow. So in my mind, she didn't have like the tools here in Tyria to just snap her fingers and go home. Like she doesn't have the wish spell, and she doesn't really have plane shift. She could just like step into the ethereal kinda. But she's knowledgeable, and she kind of has some ability to foretell things. She was looking this whole time for places of great arcane power, of focus, like ley line hubs and things like that, preferably places where planar portals existed. So I was always keeping it in the back of my mind that at any point, if I were to find a place and be like, this is kind of a fitting place, I could have dropped her in.
Yeah.
And just said like, you guys stumble across, and she may have just been like sitting beside the road cooking or something, just stopping for a rest or something like that, rather than be all mysterious. Or she could have just been like sitting on a wagon, just rolling down the road. You never know.
Oh, oof. Love that.
There were
Very
a couple
fun.
of times I thought about trying to shoehorn in a cameo from Eldathar.
Oh yeah.
There was for a hot moment when we hadn't decided if you guys were if you all had not decided if you were going to do Kralkatorrik next or one of the other dragons. And I thought, okay, if they go there, in order to not instantly be branded, maybe I can have them go to Augury Rock and take the Trials of Ascension or something. That'd be all right. We can kill some time in the desert, do some cool encounters. Completely blanked, lost my train of thought. Why was I telling you guys that?
Meet
We're
the
talking
cameo.
the cameo.
Oh, the cameo. Yes. So I thought if you got to this insane place of magical power, Rena, her sort of vision experience at the end of it could have been sort of like a portal through the mists where a tall, gray-skinned, muscular man is like sitting in his wooden cabin.
Yes.
Massive hammer up on the
Oof.
wall. and when he saw you, he might have turned and picked it up and looked at it and held it out, and if you could wield it, it would have been yours. And it would have just been a sentiment of like,
Oh, hell yes.
so this is what it was waiting for. And it would have been Alex's old character. He's
Wow,
plus 3
Wolfgrax,
hammers,
yeah.
like Mjolnir.
X.
Hammers weren't really your
man.
thing, though, so ultimately that kind of went by the wayside.
Could have been, yeah.
Go to bed.
Hammer's way to go. Hammer's way to go.
There was a brief flirtation with the idea of a red-skinned, horned woman being conjured through a portal of fire, just to say something like weirdly, sort of nonchalantly off the cuff, that was just like vile and like just like the most awful thing. Like, I was right in the middle of ripping someone's skin off. Excuse me. How rude. And then like going back, and that would have been Chris's old character, Corey Bender, who was like working in hell with her patron.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
I like to do stuff like that, but I didn't want to just force it in there. So she was good enough.
That was good.
Pretty cool.
That was.
And we've got a couple of planar explorers now, so who knows? In whatever world comes next, one of you guys might show up.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'll be sure.
Bertie the Bard can't. Bertie the Bard will never die. So. Yeah.
Alexa's literally.
Yeah. But the legend lives on for Bertie. Post Twilight years. Ugh.
I feel like Bertie would turn into quite the silver fox.
Bertie
Absolutely.
would rather, what is it? Die pretty than live ugly.
Well,
That's probably his.
Yeah.
he'll have
Feel that.
magic for that.
Day I wake up and I cast
Yeah.
summon.
I had stupid amounts of notes for random magic items I could give to each of you all, and I just didn't use most of them. I was trying really hard not to give you guys a bunch of OP stuff because you were already loaded.
Right.
By the time you get
That
to, like,
just gives
level
us
10,
choice.
yeah. Well, that became the interesting game of it. Is like, what are they gonna unattune to?
Right.
If this is
Yeah.
good enough, and how can I make it good enough without it being like ridiculously way too good? I think we struck a nice balance, though.
Yeah.
No, I liked all Bertie's stuff. Bertie had some good keepers too. Like some of those things just stuck with him. Like the Cape of the Dandy. That shit was so good.
Which is a 0-level warlock invocation.
Oh,
Like all warlocks could just choose that, like when they hit level 2 or 3.
damn.
And it's the most OP thing. It's like
Yeah.
free get out of jail free card.
Yeah, Dragon's Breath you don't want to deal with? Gone.
Boom. Yeah.
Disintegrate you'd rather not handle? Gone.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. That's great.
Let me see. I don't think. I don't have any other notes for the denizens of Trollskull Alley or the manor itself. I've got all kinds of notes from Lion's Arch about like the merchant princes. Oh, I actually don't remember if this came up because if it did, it only came up briefly. But I think it did once. I waited so fucking long for Brina to jump into the damned harbor, and she never did.
Sorry.
She would jump into the ocean outside, and she'd catch these little glimpses of the Quaggan. There's a village called Muruku in the harbor, and they kind of like scrape the barnacles off the boats and like keep like dangerous predators out and stuff. But they also use it for protection from really dangerous things. There's like a mayor and a nursery.
Oh my god.
They have hunters and like
You know I
bead
love
weavers.
little guys. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, like
And we
the
missed
hunters
it.
are named Blumanu and Dudar and Pukuna.
What
and
the
Swoosha.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Fucking ate that shit up.
Mayor Odoopdop.
They're Odooped up.
Quaggan greets you, outsider. What brings you to Morocco?
Oh my god.
Ate that shit up. Rita loves little guys.
Yeah. And there's nothing there. They just would have taught you a little bit more about the Quaggans.
And
'Cause
learn
I think you
lessons.
met. Did you meet? You met a Quaggan in
Was it Jup
the
Jup?
Grove. Jub.
Jup
Jump,
Jup.
jump.
And we got wind chime from Jup Jup.
Yep.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So long. Like every time you went to throw rocks in the harbor, I'd be like,
You were raining down on
"Did you?
them.
Yeah. You gonna swim?"
Rita's like, ew, gross. And I'm like literally carpet
my-
bombing their port.
With my cloak that looks like a manta ray that lets me breathe underwater and swim real fast. I'm just not gonna get in the water.
It's right next to her
Not
boots of
bullshit, no.
flying.
Yeah. To be fair.
Oh yeah, the shaman is a past keeper Mimi. Yeah.
Mimi.
I spent like a whole afternoon at work just like, this is some fucking cute shit. Well, let's just type this out. It's like a
Oh
bunch
my
of dialogue.
gosh.
Sure, why not?
That's so funny.
Oh, next time I make a character that is prone to throw shit in the ocean, as all my characters are, I'll remember to actually jump in the ocean.
Next time I won't wait. I'll just send a message to the player and be like, hey, go swimming.
Go swimming.
I have something I want you to do directly.
Just have something push me into the ocean.
Or have like a guard mention like, oh yeah, better not throw those rocks in there. You'll make the Quaggan angry.
Right, something more
The hell is
obvious.
a quaggan?
Oh, what?
The fuck is a quaggan? Oh my gosh.
Qui-Gon
You would have said
Jinn?
jump and jumped.
So funny.
Oh, my
Ryan, bravo. Seriously.
Yeah.
You want to talk about world
That is-
building
Truly incredible.
masterclass? Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. I do appreciate it. It makes me feel no end of pleasure that you guys have enjoyed this as much as you have. It was a lot of effort to keep it together. I can't take any credit for putting it together because it was all just the wiki shit. But it was a lot of time. And it was
Yeah.
fun time. And it gave me something to do, and I appreciate it. But like you guys showing up to play, really, it made it all worthwhile. I hope that you guys
Yes.
will lead your own games because it is a really rewarding experience. Even if you're just doing like modules or stuff, it can be lots and lots of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll listen.
I have been trying to get Paige to run something for literally 5 years now.
Literally.
It will never happen, but you know.
Okay.
Maybe when I'm old and gray.
You could run games at the nursing home.
Yeah, that's what I'll run.
I plan on doing that.
That'd be so
Oh
fun.
yeah.
That would be so sick.
Oh,
Oh
so
my
much time.
god, man!
Like
I gotta. Oh,
Yeah, my whole life, people have talked about nursing homes like they're a bad thing. I'm like, wait, you mean I just get to like stay home all day and people feed me, and like I can play video games and people won't yell at me? What? Like, why do you not want to do that sooner?
I love hanging out with old people. Can't wait to be an old person. Should be fine. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're all gonna be old at the same time. There's gonna be a bunch of cool ass people up in there.
Yeah.
Nursing homes are going to be rad as fuck.
You better believe it, man. By the time we're in nursing homes, it'd be fucking virtual reality shit in there.
I just busted my VR headset out after like a year of not touching it. It was nice.
Well, unless there are any other questions, that is all I have.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well done.
Well
Thank
done,
you again.
Ryan.
That was a lot of
well
fun.
done.
Well, we will end the recording here, my friends, and call Tyria a wrap. If anyone is listening to this in the future, thank you. Odd, but you are welcome.
Sponsors. You're welcome.